Say hello to the people, Phil.
Hello.
And welcome back
me.
to After the Hype, our review show for games we play on Hype, H.Y.E.P. Have you ever played? Over at twitch.tv/2pennygames. I am your host, Tavin Bothel, here with my good friend and co-host here, Phil Shoemaker. And ladies and gentlemen, if you didn't know, Hype, H.Y.E.P, Have You Ever Played, is a show in which me and Phil sit down over at twitch.tv/2pennygames every Tuesday, and we show each other a video game the other has never played before. And this time, we're reviewing Sly Cooper and the Thevius Raccoonus. Now,
Indeed. Sly Cooper.
Phil's first time playing. I am a longtime fan of the Sly Cooper trilogy. However, I wouldn't call myself a fan of this first game. Huh?
Quadrilogy.
No.
Yes, quadrilogy. It's four games,
I spoke very specifically. Sly Cooper, some quick facts, because ladies and gentlemen, you know I like my facts and statistics. I like them. All right. Sly Cooper was released September 23rd, 2002 on the PS2. It has a Metacritic of 86, so fairly well received. However, infamously, Sly Cooper. You see what I did? You see what I did there with the? I actually was no pun intended with the infamous and the sucker punch. Anyways, Sly Cooper was always overshadowed back in the day by the likes of Ratchet and Clank and God knows why Jak and Daxter.
I know why.
This
better game.
Those are opinions. So Sly Cooper, sales were actually a little slow. Only sold about 400,000 copies in its first couple of years or so, and then the latest I have is by 2006. The first game sold 800,000 copies, and then I was like, is that for back in the day? Because sales, you weren't that crazy back in the day. Is that really being overshadowed? And pretty much, yeah. So
Yeah, for sure.
I pulled up the old numbers for Jak and Daxter because we haven't covered Ratchet and Clank, so I don't have those numbers offhand. But I believe Ratchet is the most successful of the three. But Jak and Daxter here, the first game released in December 3rd, 2001, and by the end of 2002 was over 1 million copies. 2 million by 2007. Jak 2, October 14th, 2003, sold 2.78 million, and then Jak 3 sold 1.85 million. So yeah, by first game numbers alone, Jak 1 to Sly 1, quite a few more sales with Jak 1 than Sly Cooper.
Very, very serendipitous. We're talking about a PlayStation mascot because I'm wearing a PlayStation shirt.
Oh, look at you! Look at you! Where am I wearing? I'm wearing a Tupac shirt. It's Tupac, ladies and gentlemen. You can't see it.
I wore this under my work clothes today. So.
Same as so did I. So yeah, I'm a fan of Sly Cooper, but my fandom comes from Sly 2 and Sly 3. Specifically Sly 3, as that was the first one I ever played. Went back and played Sly 2. Still as a young boy, I played Sly 2. Loved both those games. Never played Sly 1 until I was well into my teens, probably around 16 years old. It's the first time I played it. Didn't beat it. Revisited it when I was 18. Beat it, and then I've beaten it once more since then. Sly 1 is in many ways, and this is well-worn territory if you even talk about Sly on the internet. Sly 1 is in many ways a very prototype feeling game. It's very much
not the game prototype, but literally the literal prototype.
Yeah, we're proof of concepting what will become the idea of Sly Cooper, but we're just not quite there yet.
Have you ever played Prototype?
I did. I didn't like it. It was too mindless.
I've never played it.
Yeah, I was also a big. I don't think these games are super comparable, other than their open world, third person superhero games. But I was always an Infamous guy. But I think those two games are two very different games.
It's like comparing Destiny and Borderlands.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, those two have more in common than I think Prototype and it's more like comparing Halo and Destiny, or like Halo and Borderlands, like both first person shooters, but we're roughly coming out at the same time, but like two very different types of first person shooters. And then where was I going? Sly 1 is okay. It's okay. I think a lot of the foundations are there for what will become Sly, specifically in the atmosphere and in the design, which are both greatly improved upon and arguably even perfected in the next two games.
Yeah, our team is when it gets made in this game. A little squad.
Well, they've already been like they've been doing things.
But this is the first time we're seeing them.
Yeah. And the thing is that for me, it's all focused around Sly, and what's kind of cool about Sly, and what you're gonna find out as we progress through the series, is that Sly is cool. Like, Sly himself is great, but the franchise is better when it's the team and when it's the group and how they sort of play with each other and interact and how they're different and how they play different and so on and so forth. This one is just purely Sly. You're Sly all the time until you're Murray in some very awful racing segments.
I'm gonna be honest. I enjoyed being Sly. I wasn't a huge fan of the times where I wasn't Sly.
Yeah. And I think that pretty much that tracks for me as well. In terms of like a 3D platformer, I think it controls fine enough. It does get better in the next two games.
Speaking from as somebody who's already started playing Sly 2, I would agree.
Yeah. And then but like a lot of things, like the writing is not awesome. I don't think the actors have like found like they haven't like fully figured out their characters yet. Like, they're kind of just playing up to archetypes.
I think that's only true for I feel like that's only really true for Murray and Carmelita. I think Bentley and Sly are there.
Bentley is a little too like, let me blow my nose. Real like, he's a little too like too much. And granted, like, he's always nerdy, but like it's just the way, like, it's not the confidence of the character, but it's the confidence of the actor in the character that grows from this game to the next game, and even more so in 3. And then you
have people who like the voice of Carmelita, who gets changed every
fucking game. And then Sly is so close to being there, and then maybe that's like, you could attribute it to the arc that he is going through in the game as a character, but like, he's he's such a baby. Like, he's a little baby in this game.
I had this thought. I had first. I don't know if you've ever seen. There's a show called Real Time Fan Dub, and they did one for Sly Cooper. And I watched originally. I watched somebody else play through Sly, like the first level, for Sly Cooper, and I think Sly, the voice, the first thought that came in my head was like, he's trying to tell me a secret. Like, that's how he talks.
And that's a good point. He's kind of whispery in this.
He's like,
he's just kind of always whispering.
I'll do that, Bentley. No worries.
Yeah, hey, don't worry. Like, and I think like the intent was that like, he's in the field. He's being stealthy. He's trying to be sneaky. He's trying to be sneaky. Doesn't play. It plays like you're just kind of whispering all of your lines a little bit.
It's like Sly Cooper ASMR.
Yeah, like, and in the second game, he just talks with his full voice, and it plays. Yeah. It plays great. Like, you're like, oh, that guy's cool. He's a sly dude, you know.
I feel like even granted, that's where I like first saw was when he's in the field. You know, like the first level with Raleigh on like the thing, and like you're talking to Bentley or whatever. And then even in the cutscenes where he's like, after we beat Raleigh, he's still in that same voice. Like, it doesn't seem like he gets any louder. It's just like a different filter on it or something.
He only goes into his like full voice kind of. Well, no, he's still a little whispery even in the cutscenes, aren't he?
I think through the entire game he's just very whispery.
Yeah. And also just the audio mixing isn't great anyways. But I'm hogging up all the space here. Phil. as a first-time player, how did you feel about Sly Cooper and the Thevius Raccoonus?
That was really fun. I liked a lot of the loop of like each little individual level. I was a fan of hunting down all the bottles. None of them were like super annoying because like throughout each level there's these little bottles that all have little messages and a little message in the bottles you're collecting throughout the level to open a safe somewhere in the level. Whether it be at like the end or some levels it'll be like right at the beginning because it's like a wraparound level or something like that. And you just unlock little moves or little upgrades to Sly. And I thought that was really satisfying. I liked. I at no point was I ever like, man, I'm tired of collecting bottles. I'm totally fine going through this level multiple times, trying to find all the bottles. Which for some reason it took me a lot longer because I had to replay a little bit just so I can get trophies. So the first day we played through the first 3 hub worlds and beat Miss Ruby, and then I basically went through the next day and played through all of it on my account so I can get trophies. And it took me a lot longer to get all the bottles this time around. I was like, man, I got this so much easier the first time. But I was like, oh, it's probably Tavin like pointing shit out to me. And I'm just like a dumb baby brain. I couldn't find anything. It also took me forever to beat Miss Ruby the second time. Like I think I first tried it when we played.
I believe so. Yeah.
Playing alone, I kept like accidentally hitting like the wrong button or something like that. Like I would either there would be like a misinput or like it would be like some kind of input lag or something like that.
Damn.
And I
had
had
you've got like the opposite of like performance anxiety.
Yeah, like I'm totally fine when there's a camera rolling and I have to do the show, but then when it's just me on the couch, I'm all thumbs. I can't do shit. I think I had to try that Miss Ruby fight like 4 or 5 times.
That's funny. I didn't know that. Yeah, I knew you like replayed some stuff for your own trophies and stuff. I didn't know you were not straight, but I didn't know you bumped up against the wall. The race, did you have to redo the race ever when you replayed it? No? Okay.
Race was first try again.
You bastard. Because I hate those races. I hate it.
I know,
Every time I have to do it at least twice.
Yeah, you were like when we got to the race part, you were like, man, it's probably gonna take you a couple tries, and then I nailed it first try, and then you're like, God, Phil, I'm impressed. Like, I'm a gamer, dude. I'm a gamer reformer, right?
Overall, though, enjoyed your time with Sly Cooper.
Yeah, it was a great time. I think the only rough time I had was that second session and doing that final level. The Clockwork level.
The race against Clockwork, where it's less about the like hub world and level. It's just kind of the level rush and
so the actual levels where I'm playing as Sly weren't that bad.
Yeah.
The turret on the back of the van sucked. I hated that. I died the first try going through right at the end.
Oh yeah, you did die right at the end of the truck.
I didn't know I was right at the end whenever we did it, and I was like, fuck, I guess I'll just do it again. And then I was even more angry knowing that I was so close to the end. I was like, fuck you.
And what sucks is that's the first one out the gate, and then it's matched, I think, with another minigame, and then it's Sly levels for a little while.
That second minigame wasn't as bad.
Huh?
It was just, the second minigame was just you driving around in the car, picking up
is the pick up the computers bit. Yeah.
Bad. That one wasn't as bad. But the turret one sucked.
But what's funny is that I remember that directly affecting your performance in the Sly levels, because like you were doing things that like you weren't doing the whole, like you were nailing like the whole game. You were nailing jumps. You were nailing every platforming segment. We get to that segment, and you were just you were just dropping the ball, and then you were getting mad at the game for dropping. I was like, Phil, this is you. Like, this is not supposed to be hard. Like
that turret threw me.
Yeah.
Like, it was if the game was a bull, I was thrown off the bull. Like, I did not last 8 seconds.
Never got back on the horse, man. Just never got back. But to cut you some slack, yeah, that last level was the hardest level in the game.
And the final boss, dude, the Clockwork fight. Ugh, it was so annoying. There were so many things, like, and it's like the same thing over and over, where I was like, totally fine in the actual like flying part. Some of like the aiming is really wonky just because the game is old. And it's still like, you know, like you were saying, it's like a prototype, and it's like all like it's like you're playing a game nowadays, but like pre-alpha.
Where you're like, okay, I see the ideas, but
Yeah, I see the main structure what you're trying to do, but you're not really pulling it off.
we need some more time in the oven here. Just some more time in the oven.
And I don't know, man. That game that level really showed its age, I think.
Well, I also think part of the issue is that this first game wears a lot of its influences on its sleeve. Like you see a lot of Crash in here.
Oh yeah.
With the
For sure.
With the sort of how the levels are laid out, they're mostly pretty linear, but like there'll be some circular nature to them.
I would say like the most Crash influence is when you're running from Carmelita.
Yeah, definitely. It feels very Run from the Boulder. Yeah. But then also like how the health system and the live system works is literally Crash Bandicoot. You know, like it's
the Lucky Charm. It's supposed to be the mask.
Collect 100 items, get the safety thing. There's 2 levels to the safety thing, and then there's 1-ups. You know?
The only thing that's different is there's no invincibility in Sly. Like with Crash, if you get 3 masks, you become invincible and you just run through everything. But there wasn't that in Sly, because Sly is like a stealth game.
Is that a limited time thing?
Yeah, sure. It's like a star in Mario.
Oh, okay. I don't remember that in the first Crash game, so
it's because you keep getting hit before you get it.
Oh, I'm just not good enough. There we go.
We're dealing with a skill issue here, Tavin.
We played Crash 1 a long time ago, so maybe I did do it once or twice, and we just don't remember. But
it's possible. I guarantee you did.
I don't know. And then it wears a lot of like its Crash influences on its sleeve, and then it just doesn't quite know who it wants to be, you know when like you're a kid and you're growing up and you are who you are, but like you're trying to like put on whatever you think is cool, like this is the cool persona, like, or something, and it's not like really you, and the real you is actually cooler than this persona. Like that's kind of what Sly Cooper 1 is doing. Like, man, like, if you would just be what makes you cool, you would be cool. But
yeah, I know exactly what you mean, dude. In elementary school, I wanted to be Sonic the Hedgehog.
So you went to school dressed all blue, spines on your back.
I covered myself in blue paint, and I wore soap shoes. Are you familiar with soap shoes, Tavin?
No.
They're shoes that have like little plastic bits in the middle of the sole, so you can grind on rails.
Oh. Did you also pull up fully naked? Just
yep.
just in the shoes and gloves.
Yep. Full on.
Good times. But yeah, the things about Sly 1 that stand out, I think, are the things that still stand out in the sequels, and I think that's a lot of the characters, the atmosphere, sort of like the art design of the world. And granted, like it's still like not quite there. Like the lines in the drawings get a lot sharper. Like the talents of artists get better later on, or maybe just the vision is clearer.
Like the comparison of the cutscenes in 1 and then jumping into 2, night and day.
Oh yeah.
In 1, they were going for like a more like looked almost more like freehand. Like there was some like you could see some like little
there's imperfections in it.
Yeah, little imperfections.
Yeah,
but kind of smooth. Like they kind of made it to where it was almost best of both worlds, where it still looks somewhat freehand in the second one, but it's like more cleaned up.
Yeah. It
looks nicer.
Like if it's the same artist, which it's not, but if it's the same artist, that it looks like that artist like leveled up.
Yeah,
you know,
they invested some skill points into creativity or whatever.
Yeah, and also I think just general world design is still pretty solid in this first game, but again muddled, not quite where it's going to be.
A lot of levels were pretty samey too. Like it was all like there were some that were just not like in design, but like in like bare bones.
Yeah.
Like you could see like, oh, it's like this one, you go down a hallway and then there's like an open area and then there's like a little curve and then
yeah. Like you can almost see the points where they're like, okay, let's switch it up here. Like you can see it.
It's like, oh, this one's like a pirate ship and this one is like a airplane hangar that's flooded.
Well, I think in the ideas of like themes, like the themes of each level are solid, but like just the actual way in which they're laid out just leaves a little something to be desired.
Yeah, you go from it's like a pirate ship like bay, like a pirate, like almost like a Tortuga town where it's like a bunch of little like pirate ships everywhere, and there's like a plane, like crash planes in the sea. Then you go to like a big casino area in the desert, and then you got the swamp. Yeah,
all cool ideas, all cool ideas, and it's it's globe hopping, and I like that. I do really like that. It's placed in real world locations, or like generalized real world locations. Like they'll be like, we're going to Asia, and it's just the Panda King's world or whatever.
I think it's Nepal, right? Are they in Nepal?
It might have been. I don't recall.
Something like that. They
definitely get way more specific in the second game, where it's straight up like first level Paris, France, and you're like, okay, yeah, this is, and it's just like this like cartoony like hyper realized like version of Paris, and you're like, okay, yeah, this works, this plays. And then, but like, yeah, this first one, it's just like. What was I pointing at? I like that it's in real world locations, because then it plays into what we know from those locations, but then the hyper like the like cartoony nature of the games like allow us to like live in a fantasy like alongside the reality.
Does the first game open in Paris also?
It does.
Okay.
It does, with the quick mission with Carmelita.
Yeah,
where you break into her
that
office.
one's like a full night level, but then the first level in 2 is like more like sunset. Because like the lighting is different. Because like it looks almost like more it's more orange hue in the sky.
I don't know about that. It's still pretty blues.
Is it okay?
Yeah.
For whatever reason, when we played the other day, I remember it being more orangey.
Might have been due to the cutscenes or something, or the lighting in the casino. Anyways, that's slide 2. We'll get to that eventually, ladies and gentlemen.
What I really enjoyed at the end of the first game is you could watch like a little anime adaptation of like the opening sequence, which I liked. Like all the designs were way better.
Yeah, when they went for that style of animation.
Yeah, and all the narration was in Japanese. It was cool. I liked it.
It was cool. There is a lot cool here, but there's just so much I think lacking here.
Old.
I mean, sure, game old, but like I think even back in the day it was. And granted, I don't know, I didn't play it back in the day, but I think even back in the day, people were like, "This is okay, this is fine." And I mean, like,
so I feel like if I sat down with that game as a kid, I would be like, "Oh my god."
Yeah, but it just. Slide 2 and 3, like, just knock it out of the park for me. Like, it's just like they just really. I just keep coming back to the. They just really find their identity in the later games. In this first one, like they're still like playing with ideas, but they're trying to be something that they're not yet. But yeah, I like it fine enough. The story is fine enough. The characters are cool and good. I really like the direction that they take them later on, and I think but what's funny about this is in an age of video games where storytelling wasn't necessarily the most important thing, you had a couple of instances of storytelling, some Final Fantasies, Metal Gear. Would you see? I don't even consider Zelda as a story-based game.
Really?
No.
You ever played Link to the Past? That's very story-based.
Is that the one that just got remade? No, that was
no.
Awakening?
You're talking about the one for the Switch, right?
Yeah.
That's Link's Awakening, yeah.
Yeah. I did not play Link to the Past, no. But what's funny is with its direct competitors with Ratchet and with Jack, which both tackle narratives in their own way, the narrative always took a backseat to gameplay experience. And I don't think Sly ever takes the back seat. Like the narrative never takes the back seat to gameplay. I think they find a good balance where they complement each other very well. And I think the flawed nature of this first game really helps and really builds into the arc of the characters and the story and the gameplay itself throughout the entire trilogy. Like they all feel connected in some weird meta gameplay narrative way. Like, yeah, like the narrative is simple, and a lot of the lines are kind of corny and cheesy, and simplified for kids or whatever. And characters are not quite who they're going to become. Murray is a great example, but even Sly and Bentley are like Sly definitely gets cooler later on. Bentley definitely goes on through some changes later on. And
I like the groundwork that they laid for this one.
Yeah, it's an interesting groundwork. We're now okay, we've been on our they mentioned some small heists and thieves and things that they've done in the past, but the characters have handled their first big adventure together, and they are changed from this. And this is something that's interesting to me, is because at the end of every adventure, they are changed, they are different. And that's not something that really happens with Jack and with Ratchet. Ratchet and Clank kind of, after the first game, kind of just become the same guys. They don't really change after that first game. Jack and Daxter, if any changes to their characters do happen, they either happen right at the beginning or right at the end. And we haven't seen Jack and Daxter change since the beginning of Jack 2. I mean, there's some revelations at the end of Jack 3, but we don't get enough time to see how that affects them. In here, we do get that. From the beginning to the end of each adventure, our characters are in dramatically different spots than where they were before. And what's funny is because our gameplay is what it is in this first game, it feels like the mechanics are aging along with the characters. Granted, Sly 2 and Sly 3 play almost identically. So there's that. But it's because this first game is so flawed, in quotes, flawed, it just kind of allows the growth to feel even more satisfying.
I get that.
So just a weird sort of meta hyper commentary on this trilogy of games.
It's one of those things where that's not. They weren't trying to make some kind of correlation, but if you ask a Sucker Punch exec, we'd be like, yeah, it's exactly what we were doing. I'm glad you caught on to it.
I doubt it. I'm sure they were just no, our team just got better, and so we made better games. And and then what's funny is, and I guess this is another critique of the game. When we were talking about doing this review the other day, I was mentioning sort of how I planned on tackling it from an editing perspective. And there was an idea of we'll probably talk about the bosses in each world or whatever. And we kind of just haven't. And I mean, I guess we could, but we're already 27 minutes deep into this review. So
I don't think we need it.
Exactly. You kind of don't think, they kind of just
the game.
They're kind of just all there, well, I think they also the villains kind of fade into the background here.
Yeah. They're literally just an obstacle. It's not. They're not the focus.
Yeah. And I think I think they're. And when you go back and you think about, oh yeah, the Panda King, oh yeah, Mugshot, things like that. Raleigh and Miss Ruby you might forget. Clockwork, they obviously force you to remember in the second game.
There's a whole post-credit scene.
Yeah, and there's a little post. Yeah. But you just sit back and you go, oh shit, yeah, right, the boss fight. You know what I remember? I remember tracking the bottles. I remember running through those levels, and I remember the design almost being there. That's what I remember from Sly 1. And it's interesting that just naturally our conversation leaned to that as well. I think that speaks for the overall game.
Yeah, that's because that's like I said earlier, it's not what the game's about. Sure, it's about tracking down the Thevius Raccoonus and getting the pages back from the villains, but they're not the focus.
I don't know if I agree with you on that. Because there is so much narrative weight placed on each villain when you enter a new world.
Yeah, but it's not about the villain. It's about Sly trying to avenge his family and about trying to
restore his honor,
restore this family heirloom. Yeah,
I'm curious if you'll feel that way at the end of Sly 2.
Okay,
we'll see. We'll have to see. Anyways,
I don't know if the rest of the villains are like Dimitri. Then I'm definitely gonna have to be on your side and be like, yeah, the villains definitely matter.
Oh, you're being sarcastic.
Keep it smooth.
You gotta
keep it smooth.
We're spoiling it, Phil. Anyway, Have we like mentioned game? We've mentioned the mini games not really hitting that hard, but I guess we said we did like playing as Sly overall. Yeah,
we talked about gameplay.
Yeah, it's solid. It's solid. It's solid.
Good
Everything's solid.
platforming.
I do really like the Carmelita levels. I think those are standouts for me.
Those are very fun.
Yeah.
I think those are definitely the most fun out of any of them. I liked there's one level in Mugshot's hub world where you're like scaling a building.
Yes.
That one's really fun.
Yeah. That one is solid. Yeah.
Very crowded circle button. Everything is mapped to the circle button.
Yeah, that doesn't change.
And then they kind of do a similar thing with the triangle button for all the powers too. That you just like run through when you run, like just switch them.
That does change. Oh, the powers I think are just throw pretty much all of them away. I like the one where you speed things up. That's about it. That's kind of all I like. Oh, it was the circle button that also did the hiding mechanic, the invisibility mechanic.
Oh
yeah, that's probably that definitely leans into your, hey man, this circle button is crowded. It does a lot of things. All right, like I think that's where it goes over the line in terms of how many functions are on one button.
Michelle.
I guess just to kind of cap into it here, who was your favorite boss fight here?
Panda King.
I agree. Also Panda King. I liked that Panda King fight a lot. Well, I liked it the most, I'll say.
What does he do? He goes like
he's got his flame foo.
Yeah, but I'm trying to remember. There's like flying kick or something like that.
It's like, is it winding chop, and then flaming sweep or something like that? Like, and he just says it before every little yeah. And you're like, all right, I'll just jump over that and just move to the side for those. Okay,
yeah.
Cool.
Sidestep this. Jump over that. Then just fucking whack the shit out of him.
Yeah. The rest of them kind of fall by the wayside for me. I don't like the Mugshot one. I like Mugshot's. I like the character of Mugshot.
Me too. I'm in the same boat.
Yeah. But
terrible boss fight.
Yeah, I just did not like that fight. Ruby is fine. Ruby's actually a nice break of pace, but like she just we played the HD remasters on PS3.
And all the rhythm is off.
Yeah, the rhythm's off. I mean, it doesn't match the music. Yeah, that's really all I gotta say about that. Okay,
that's all I have to say about that.
So over here on After the Hype, Phil, we like to give little scores, little things here. Why is the last thing I have Catherine? Did we not play? Oh, we played Wonderlands in between those two, and so we haven't finished that. Okay, so that's why that's like that. Phil, being the first time player, go ahead, give me what you would put a review score on for Sly 1. What is Sly 1's final score for you?
Okay. Well, I think it would be unfair of me to. Is it unfair? No, I was gonna say it'd be unfair of me to discount this game based on one level, and not even just the whole level, just like one boss fight and like one little mini game. But fuck it, 6.5. Damn.
Okay.
7, if not, but you know.
We'll go 6.5. I think that raw first thing is 7. Let me see here. I think this might be first time in history. Let me think. I have to think about Sly 1 and how I feel about it.
It's like a very tentative 6.5. I definitely recommend playing it for yourself.
Yeah.
It's very fun. But man, that last level.
And see, I'm of the opinion of like, I don't think you need to play Sly 1. I do think Sly 1 is worth playing. But if you want to jump straight to the good stuff, this is a series where I'm like, yeah, go ahead, fuck it, jump straight to the good stuff. And you got through it with ease, but a lot of those mini game breaks, especially the races, I really don't like. And that hacking mini game is terrible.
I totally forgot about that one, dude. Can I change my score?
Just lump it in with everything else of that final level.
Yeah, that's fucking terrible. Why can I not just pick it up even though it's still on the other thing? I'm touching the yellow thing. Why can I not just pick it up?
I think Sly won. My heart is saying 6 out of 10 for a Sly 1. Which I believe, let me double check here. But in terms of the fan of the franchise passing the controller, I believe this makes it the first time in our history where the fans' review is lower than the new player. There's a lot of matching scores on a lot of these.
I'm fine with making history.
Nope. Mass Effect 3, you have a 8.5. I have a hard 8.
I'll take it. Fuck you,
Yep.
history. I already made you.
I've been making history. So for you little stat checkers, Mass Effect 3 takes the cake there. Very interesting. Good stats. Good information. Oh no, God of War 2018, you gave it 9, I gave it 8.5. We've been doing this.
You gave that game less than a 9?
Yeah.
Fuck you, Tavin.
Yeah, I stand by that too. But that's my thing. Like the fucking numbers don't matter. Who got it? What? Like God of War is probably the best game we've played, objectively. But like, I'll be damned if you tell me Metal Gear Solid 3 is not the best game of all time. Like, I'm giving that bitch a 10. Like, fuck it.
I like how we live in a world where not even me. Like, I won't even give Kingdom Hearts 2 a 10.
Snake Eater is a perfect game.
Then there's you.
There's nothing wrong with Snake Eater. Nothing wrong with it. It's a perfect game. Stem to stern.
Man, those menus, though, huh?
Nothing wrong with it. It's great.
No,
I don't like the
nothing
menus.
wrong with going in those menus repeatedly.
You go to the menus what? Once every 20 minutes?
No. Literally every new screen you go, you have to switch camos.
You're in the jungle for most of it.
And it's so
Anyways,
masturbatory that you have to play through it like 6 times to get everything?
no. To get everything? Snake Eater?
To get everything.
No, you can get everything in one playthrough. You just gotta know what you're doing.
To learn what you're doing.
Yeah.
You have to play through how
your
many times?
your first time through, you're not doing it. No, not at all. With a guide, you could do it in 2. And a lot of persistence, a lot of save scumming. You could do it in 2. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, that is it for our Sly 1 After the Hype review. Thank you so much for watching and listening over here at youtube.com/2pennygamescast. If you want, you can see archive footage of our playthroughs all the way up to Metal Gear Solid 3. So our first 3/4 playthroughs that we did are all live right now. Oh, the first 4 playthroughs are all live right now. youtube.com/2pennygamescast. You can catch all of our other After the Hype reviews. We've done Uncharted. We've done God of War. We've done Mass Effect. We've done Jak and Daxter, and we're working our way through Crash Bandicoots and stuff. Please go check all of those out. We really do appreciate it. And then catch us Monday, 8 a.m. Central Time for the youtube.com/2pennygamescast or mainstream podcast services of your choice for the 2 Penny Gamescast. But until next time, have a great time. Twitch.tv/2pennygames to catch us live. Forgot to mention that. Until next time, have a great time. Phil, say goodbye to the people.
Mwah.